Hello and welcome to our last class. I cannot believe that the entire semester has already flown by. We have spent a lot of time in this class talking about technology, of course, and how it applies to the events that we plan. I know we spent some time talking about strategy. We talked about how technology can be used before, during, and after the event. And last week, most recently, we talked about hybrid events, virtual events, and really how we use technology to create a meaningful, engaging experience for our attendees. Today, I'm going to shift a little bit and talk about some apps, gadgets, and tools that I love that I use every single day, or at least very regularly, that I think you guys will love as well. These are really more designed for you as the planner. Some of them can be used within your event itself, but you're going to find that these will help you plan more efficiently, help you stay on top of your schedule and all of your emails. So hopefully this class will be really fun and will help you walk away with some new tools that you can use. I'm going to run through all of these pretty quickly, but of course it's a narrated PowerPoint, so you can always go back or write down all of the different gadgets that I'm going to mention, and let me know if you have any questions in our forum. Let's get started. For many event planners, I think that their lives kind of feel overwhelming. We have a million things to do. We have these tasks that seem like they're all over the place, especially for independent planners who are working with multiple different types of clients. We have projects at all different stages at the same time that we are working on. So our goal today is really to help you to manage all of these things. So my mission is just 20 plus apps that are going to change your life. Sounds easy enough. So let's start with Trello. Trello is a task management tool, and I'm going to talk about a couple of them because I think that for every product out there, there's something that works better for one person over a different person. Trello is something that our team used for quite a while, and we found it really interesting and easy to use. It has this column format, and you can name these columns really with anything. So the basic setup is to do, in progress, or doing, and then done. And you would just kind of create a task or a card for each task that has to be done. And you can attach comments to this. You can assign it to different people on your team. Of course, you can set deadlines. And then as you move that card through the process, you simply click the card and drag it. So, when something is to do, when you start working on it, you can drag it to doing. And then when you finish it, you can drag it to the done category. So it's just a really easy way of tracking what needs to be done. As you can see in this example, you can have color codes. So your color codes can be by project, or it could be by stage, or you can have red color codes for things that need attention. It's also integrated with email, so it's really easy to get an email when, something is not going well. If you need to be, updated if someone on your team finishes putting together the invitation, for example, that's pretty easy to do. What I like about Trello is that everything is customizable. So you can use these columns to do, doing, and done, or you can change them. So for example, if you're doing a marketing campaign, you can do ideas in draft and published, or you can do this by project. And each one of these is called a board. It's similar to Pinterest. I'm sure you're familiar with that. So you can create a board for every project. You can create one board for all of your tasks as a company or as a brand. And it's just a really easy way to keep track of all the different tasks and things that you have to do from day to day. Another task management platform that a lot of event planners like is AnyDo. It's very simple, and I think this is really great for people, especially if you're doing a lot of tasks and work from your mobile devices. And basically you can just put in your tasks. Again, you can assign timelines and you can assign them to different people. And it really helps you to determine what you're actually going to get done. So if you're one of those people who has a million things to do, but you're just not going to be able to get to everything, then you can mark them as in progress, done, or you can use this little later button to kind of bring that task back to you at a later point. You can say, bring this back in an hour, bring it back tomorrow, bring it back in a week. That way, when you're looking at your task list, you're really only looking at the things that have to be done right now. So, obviously the example in this particular image is a more personal example. I find that with any task management program, people tend to use them for both business and personal. But certainly from the business perspective, it's really great to be able to prioritize what has to be done. So if you're planning an event and you've got to get the invitations out today, but you don't necessarily have to send your speaker confirmation emails until later, not only can you assign dates to them, but then if things shift as you're in the planning process, it's very easy to kind of remind yourself of things after the fact. I'm going to talk about email for a little bit because I think that so many people do the majority of their business over email, and I think that most event planners are really overwhelmed with their inbox. There are a lot of different philosophies and ways that people manage their inbox. This is a product called Mailbox, and I really like it because it's incredibly simple. You can import your email from Gmail or Outlook or whatever it is that you currently use. And the idea is to do very similar to what we do with AnyDo, which is to prioritize your inbox. So step one, of course, is to delete anything that does not need to be kept in your inbox, spam or event invitations that you've already responded to, or anything that you don't need to act on. And then you can use Mailbox to kind of bring it back into your inbox when you need it. So let's say somebody writes you an email and they'd love to interview you for an article they're writing next month, but you're swamped right now. You can actually just click on the email and then click on next week and have it come back into your inbox next week. So it'll take it out of your inbox. You don't lose it. You can always look for it. It just creates a folder, but it'll basically take it out of your inbox and then bring it back to you when you need to address it. That way, you're not looking at 10,000 emails in your inbox, but you might be looking at the 20 that you need to do right now. This is a really good way to also track your emails and kind of categorize them. So you see on the right-hand side here that you can create lists for things that you want to read later, things that you want to watch later, something you want to buy, something that's personal. So you can create these lists and really make them for you and for what makes sense for your organization. But really, really simple and cool tool to make sure that you're managing your inbox a little bit better. Now, this is not an app, but it is a philosophy. If you Google Yesterbox, you will find basically a one-page description of what it is. I'll give you a very brief description, but I encourage you to look it up if it's interesting to you. This is a picture of Tony Hsieh. He is the CEO of Zappos.com, the famous shoe brand, but they're also known for being an incredibly interesting brand. They do things in a very unique way. And I liked his philosophy on email so much so that we integrate it into our everyday lives at our company, and I think it might be interesting for you too. So here's the general concept. You create a folder in your inbox called Yesterbox. There's nothing special to it. It's literally just a folder. And when you wake up in the morning, you select all of the emails that came in yesterday and you put them in your Yesterbox. And then you click on your Yesterbox and you only respond to those emails. You spend all of your time focused on getting back to everyone who responded to you yesterday or sent you an email or an inquiry. So the idea is that you're not constantly distracted by the new emails that are coming into your inbox, and really you're getting back to everyone within 24 hours. So anything that came in yesterday will be responded to today. Now, Tony Hsieh's philosophy is a bit more dramatic, and he's obviously a lot more busy than most of us, but his philosophy is that you never touch your inbox. You only do yesterday's email. And then when you're done, you move on to other projects and tasks. I think that that's great, and certainly that can work, but I do prioritize my inbox as well. So what I'll do is I'll go in the morning and kind of put anything from yesterday in my Yesterbox. And then in the afternoon, I'll go through my inbox and move anything into my Yesterbox that I feel like needs to be responded to today. So this is something that you can do just to make sure that you're managing your email and really getting through things and not letting 10,000 things sit into your inbox. The next app is called Expensify for anyone who is doing travel for your events or you're constantly, running reports for clients and having to take expenses for them. This allows you to take pictures of the receipts as you take them, and it's an iPhone or an Android app, so you can use it on the go. You can tag all of your expenses as you are bringing them in, and then you can easily run all kinds of reports. So if you need to get a report to your client about all the money that you've spent for them, it's very easy. Or if you need to do a travel and expense report for a particular project or site visit that you did, it's incredibly easy to just run the report based on the tags that you've assigned to each receipt and pull it all in. It keeps those pictures of the receipts, so if you need to give them to your client or you might need them for audits down the road, it's incredibly easy to use. Now, if you're like me, you will often be completely overwhelmed sometimes when you're online and it's just hard to focus, especially if you're on your phone trying to get things done. So this is a very simple app called Focus Lock, and what it does is it will lock your phone until you finish your project. So you can set it for an amount of time or until you get a certain number of things done, and it will basically not allow you to get into your phone and be distracted by what's happening on your phone until all of your emails are done or until your project is done. It's almost funny, but I found it to be really useful, especially in the throes of an event and you're planning and you need to just focus on logistics and you can't be distracted by thousands of text messages coming in. Now, if you're ever going to networking events, which I'm sure you all are doing on a regular basis, World Card Mobile is a really great app. Basically, you collect your standard business cards like you do at any other networking event, and then you take a quick picture of each one, and it will add all of the contact information from those business cards into your phone contacts. And that, of course, can be synced to your email client or any task management or client relationship management systems that you use. It is a really simple tool. You basically just take the picture and it will put all the information in. It will allow you to verify, so you don't have to worry about your phone getting filled with all this data that doesn't work. And you can also add notes. So if you want to add a note about how you met someone or why they might be interesting for you in the future, it's very easy to do that. If you have a lot of contracts that you're working with and you're always having to have people sign things, we are definitely out of the age of printing and then signing something and then scanning it back in, and then the other party prints it out and signs it and scans it back. DocuSign is an amazing tool. There is a fee for it. I don't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head right now, but I easily paid for it. It definitely wasn't very expensive and it was worth every penny. And basically you put in your name, your initials, you choose the handwriting or the font that you want to use for your signature, and then you can send contracts, and all you do is upload your contract. You select where the other person needs to initial or sign. They can date things. You can have them put their company name, whatever it is that you need them to do within that contract. And they'll get an email and they just basically set up their account, which is as simple as what you're seeing on the screen here, name, initials, and font. And then you will be able to contact them at any point afterwards. So they'll be able to sign the document. You can countersign. You'll both get an electronic copy. And these are, of course, dated and they're binding contracts. And if you ever need to contact them, you'll have kind of this report of all of the contracts that you've ever signed in your account. They'll have the same. It's really reliable and it's incredibly easy. I find that our contracts get signed 10 times faster than when we used to do the whole printing out and faxing back in. So this helps you to secure more business, and it's also a much cleaner way to keep track of all of the contracts that you've had signed. Now, event planners are always on the go. So this app is going to help you really find how long it's going to take you to get from one place to another. So you can store information like your home office, your work office, and then you can put in all of your different meetings. It syncs to your calendar, so it'll know that you are going from your home to a meeting at 10 a.m. and then you have an 11:30 at somewhere in downtown. And what it'll do is it'll give you directions. It'll use things like Apple Maps, Google Maps, or Waze to give you directions and estimate the amount of time it's going to take you to get from one meeting to another. So if it feels like you are not leaving enough room for your travel in between meetings, it will alert you. This is especially helpful if you are taking a lot of meetings or site visits out of town and you're not familiar with the area, and especially if you're not familiar with traffic patterns. I find this really helpful when I go to LA, for example. It just gives me the directions of where I need to go, but it also tells me how long it's going to take me to get there, because 12 miles doesn't always take 15 minutes. And again, for those travelers, Flightboard is a really great app for just seeing all the different flight boards at different airports. So you can see arrivals and departures. I use this personally if I'm just trying to check to see a flight that I'm on, but you can also use it if you have guests coming from out of or from various cities and you want to see what time they're coming in and the status of each of those flights. If you want to make sure that as your attendees land, you know that your car service is there to get them, you can track all of that using this Flightboard app. Very simple to use. Now, as event planners, we always have a million things that we're doing, and there are some things that you can automate. I am a huge fan of automation, but I do think you need to be strategic with it and just, not just automate every aspect of your life. This is a product called If This, Then That. And it's a very simple tool that you use, and you basically set up these formulas. So you say, if X happens, then I want you to do Y. So think of anything in your life every single day that you do over and over and over again that you could automate. So for example, if someone tags me in a picture on Facebook, then save it to my Dropbox. And these can be used for events. So if someone tweets using our hashtag, then put it in a particular place, like your Dropbox, your email, or someplace where you want to collect all of these things. This will basically, once you create the formula and you hit go, it will scan regularly for that trigger that you've set up, and then it will do the action. So it will save you a ton of time, and it's very reliable. Again, I wouldn't use this for anything where there are exceptions. It's just a formula. So it's going to do exactly what you tell it to do over and over again. So if you don't want your Dropbox flooded by pictures all over the internet, then make sure that your formulas make sense. But you can use this, if Google Alerts mentions your company, then bookmark it. So these are ways to just keep track of those little things that you're doing all the time that you probably don't really have the time to be doing. Dropbox, if you don't know about Dropbox, definitely start using it. Very simple tool to store files, and it's in the cloud, so you can make sure that you always have access to them when you're not at home. You don't have to worry about being at your desktop. And it's a great way to share files with other people. I use it a lot for passing files to a client. So if we have a lot of pictures of their event, I'll upload them to my Dropbox and send the client the link, and they can easily download them all. I don't use Dropbox a lot for storage. I think there's always some privacy concerns, and Dropbox hasn't had any major security issues that I know of, but I like to be cautious. So I don't store a lot in my Dropbox. I use it a lot for passing files from one person to another, especially anything very large that won't go easily over email. And then really only storing the few documents that I know I'm going to need access to from multiple locations. If you are always on the go, Doxy is a great tool. It just allows you to scan in, and it's a scanner to go. It's very easy to use. And this is an even easier version of that. It's called the Magic Wand. This will fit in your purse or bag, and you can just swipe it over anything that you want to scan, and it will email you the document. This is really great for site visits or times when you're visiting vendors, and you can quickly scan the contract and make sure that you have a copy of it, in addition to, of course, whatever paper copies there are. Harvest is a really good tool for anyone who is tracking time. This can be used for if you have a lot of team members, for example, and you want to be able to track the time that they're spending so they can clock in and clock out. But it's also a really good tool to track your time for different clients. So if you're an independent planner and you need to kind of clock in when you're starting to work on client A and clock out, and then clock in when you start to work for client B, if you bill by the hour, this is a really easy tool to use. I always encourage people to use this for a week or two just in general and track the different categories of things that you're doing. So emails, blogging, finances, marketing, and it's a little bit annoying to figure out how to do it and to remember to do it and to start and stop is really all you have to do, but it's just remembering to do it. And so I don't recommend that you do this every day for the rest of your life, but if you track your time for a week or two, it gives you a really interesting sense of how much time you're spending doing different things. So if you feel like you're too busy, this is a really good way to figure out where you're losing all of your time. Track your social media usage. You might find that you're spending 10 hours a week on Facebook and only 2 hours a week on emails, or the opposite. And so you can figure out where you can streamline your work and where you can cut certain things out of your life to make some more time so that you aren't so busy. So you can use it on a short-term case like that, or you can use it long-term to track your work for clients or for other projects that you're doing. If you are like me, you have 10,000 accounts and you don't remember the password to any of them. So LastPass is a really easy tool to use. It's very secure. You basically remember one password, and then when you log in, you'll be able to see passwords to all of your other accounts. So you just list the account, username, and password. And so then you can log into LastPass to see your account and password for your email account, or really anything that you want to store in here. Some people don't feel comfortable doing this on the internet because they're afraid that it will get backed up. Like I said, it's pretty secure. I haven't had any problems with it. But if you do feel a little bit nervous about that, you can just use a password protected Excel. But ideally, you want to store all of your username and passwords in some place so that you can go back and find them. And you're not always trying to do the reset password and spending 10 minutes trying to log into one site. I know you have all done that. We talked about Expensify earlier, and that's a great tool for tracking expenses. But if you have not done that and you have a ton of receipts that you need to track and you have not done a good job of tracking them, Shoebox is incredibly easy. You basically load up all of your receipts that you might have and you mail them to Shoeboxed, and Shoeboxed will organize all of your receipts. They'll track every dollar that's been spent and categorize everything. They will let you know if there's something that they don't know what it is, and you just update what it is and what the expense was for. So this is a really good way of catching up. I recommend using Shoeboxed if you're one of those people who has 100 receipts in a shoebox somewhere. Mail it to them, let them get it organized. They'll ship you back all of your receipts, and then make sure that you start using something like Expensify moving forward so that you don't have that stack of receipts somewhere. If your inbox is completely overwhelmed, which we already talked about, Unroll Me is it's a life-saving app. Basically what you do is you put in your email address, it will pull up all of the things that you are subscribed to, and with the click of a button, you can unsubscribe. So rather than having to remember every time that something comes in that you're not interested in to scroll to the bottom of their email and go through their unsubscribe process, using this one tool, you can unsubscribe from all of the emails that you don't like receiving on a regular basis. I once did this for one of my accounts and had 475 subscriptions that I probably never really signed up for, but my email was sold to these companies, or I bought something from a company, and it just took me 10 minutes to unsubscribe from everything. It's very easy to use. It's also free. I think that you can unsubscribe from 5 things, and then it will ask you to share on Facebook and Twitter. And if you share, you're then able to unsubscribe from everything else for free. So this will save you a ton of time in your inbox. I think sometimes it's easy to think deleting is just faster, but if it's not taking up your inbox in the first place, trust me, it's a lot better. If you have a lot going on with social media, I definitely recommend a tool like Buffer or Hootsuite. These are tools that allow you to schedule articles, post pictures and videos to your social media accounts, and manage multiple different kinds of accounts at the same time. So Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can often do your Instagram, your Pinterest from these sites. So just a better way to control everything together and make sure that you're making the most of the different social media channels that you're using. Whoops, too far. Pocket is an app that allows you to save articles, basically put them in your pocket. So if you're reading something and you come across articles that look interesting, rather than losing them somewhere or spending all of your time in that moment reading those articles, you can add them to your pocket. And then when you have time, like on a plane or some downtime on a Saturday, you can go to your app and read all of the things that you saved for yourself. Really good way to make sure that you're not getting lost in that rabbit hole of amazing articles. If you're doing something creative like the design for your next event and you just feel completely stuck creatively, this very simple app, Unstuck, really helps you to get unstuck. You just play these almost games and it just gets you thinking and it inspires. It's a very simple app, but definitely has helped me many times. And the last few things we're going to talk about here are gadgets. Mophie is a charging tool. So if you're always on the go and you feel like your phone or your tablet is always running out of battery, you can buy a Mophie, charge it, and it will charge you once you die if you're on the go. There are different forms. So you're seeing like 3 different types. There are actually cases for your phone that you don't have to bring an extra device, or there are these other devices. And in either way, it will help keep your phone charged or your tablets charged after they die. This is especially helpful on event days. Drones are becoming more and more popular, and I think for photography and videography for events, we're going to be seeing these used. I've seen them at a couple of events already. So keep your eyes out for what's happening with drones, everything from deliveries to photography. I think that we'll see some interesting things with this in the events industry. And of course, a great way to engage a big group of people is the selfie stick. I know everyone has a different opinion about the selfie stick, but if you're looking to get some great pictures of your event, I find that attendees really love using this very simple gadget. So that's all. I'd love to hear about what apps you guys love and what you use to make yourselves more productive from day to day. I'm going to add that question to our forum for this week, so please fill that out and you have your last assignment. It's been a great class, so thank you so much for sticking with me through our first digital class. And I think that we were able to cover a lot, but I really look forward to hearing your feedback. Please fill out the student survey and finish out the assignments for the class. And I look forward to seeing you in the industry very soon.